Hi there, welcome to Carcassonne today with a double header. First up, it's Group A's match, opening match between Greece and Hungary. In Group A, my favorite definitely is China, and the other two playoff spots, should be fought over by these three teams. I wouldn't expect Peru to chime in there. So today's match is pretty crucial, even though it's just the first one. So it's bit curious that both teams don't play their best. We'll see that later. And in about an hour, Group D's opening match between France and Catalonia will take place. One could think the Frenchman should be the favorite in this match and in this group, but I don't think so. I think Taiwan is the better squad and might still lose against France, of course, but I'd favor them to snatch the first place, and then a battle between France, Romania, and Catalonia for second and third place, where I would expect the French and Romanians to oust the Catalonians. But who knows? It's still Carcassonne. Everything can happen. So about the first match, the players who don't appear here are Dark Passenger, former world champion from Greece, and Hungary's arguably second best player, WTCOC. So not sure what to say about this. Anyway, on first and second table, I'd favor the Greeks. On the third and fourth table, I definitely favor the Hungarian players. And therefore, the one that's most interesting to me is table 5, and that's why I will try my best to cover this and only take a cursory look on the other tables. Later on, as I said, in about an hour, Catalonia, France will commence. There I would expect to take down Steam with a clean sweep. The Frenchman is just too experienced. Steam would need a stacked deck, more or less. And then the other tables are more closer matched, except for maybe Dev Dean versus Boulogne. Catalonian is definitely a pretty strong player, so I would favor him, but the other three should be pretty open affairs. As well as in the first match, I'll focus on table 5 there too. So looks like the games are started. You know the drill. I'll cover the one here and the others just in the tiny windows. So first points to the Hungarian with the blue meeples, Assetos with Champions League experience plays yellow today. Pretty easy opening moves so far. Nothing extraordinary. Yeah, blue tries to limit yellow city here. Could have also considered going for a field immediately, because this just will grow, and quite likely even a lot. And that's why Robil now takes the field immediately. Let's see, also restricts yellow's road quite severely. Now only had to take care of restricting the square here to a crossroad, so he could later kill this while keep his own meeple alive. Problem, of course, is if that square here would get restricted to the quad crossroads, then it would be a mini battle that could result in blue losing 2 meeples. And there is our dark passenger. Hi, Pantelis. Yeah, not sure about that move by Assetos. It's just begging for trouble like this. And when there are still all but one Dorito and all big city tiles out there, so I don't like this at all. Yes, sure, you pressure Blue City a tiny bit, but is it worth risking this stuff here when you'd rather would like to wait for a simple city cap to extricate your meeple while keeping blues occupied on the road? Yeah, well, my answer is it's definitely not worth the risk. Hey, Pichan. So much so that Rubil even kills this immediately instead of trying to liberate the road on the left side. And why not? There are still so many city plus road tiles out there that yellow could easily salvage this situation, and they would have done with this rose, of course. At least their road is still alive now that they finally got the starting tile here, snatching a few big points at the cost of expanding Blue's field, but there will be options to attack it later on. Pretty sure about that. But for now, this does not look great for yellow. So this definitely will be a lost mini battle. The only way to improve this situation, of course, is to extend the ruin to the right side, but there aren't even that many pieces out there to do so. 2 horses gone, 3 rotoritos gone, so only 3 tiles left. And even if you go for this option, whoa, the problem is you'd also increase the likelihood of Blue's field expanding up there. Yeah, this monastery, sure, you have the road next to it, but when it's so easy to restrict this to a 50-50, I'm again not convinced that this was the best idea. In this case, when the at least temporary meeple majority is in yellow's hands, why not take this spot here for 6 points? There were still 3 daggers out there, so any restriction over here would not be that problematic. And opening up the field when you have 3-1 meeples isn't an issue. It's actually preferred. So yeah, me not like this. These cities are still alive, but it's complicated. So for one, Robil, of course, could try to unite them, but then a double restriction to different daggers would be quite likely, and in that case, with diagonal squares affected, it's pretty likely that this city would die later. So he could also opt to hope for the 50-50 and flip for the twin caps or vertical splitter. Instead, he goes the other route, draws one of the necessary daggers immediately, and now has a pretty good shot at closing this. There are 3 tiles to go here, and still more to close the city afterwards, if he doesn't do this with the twin caps. So this looks pretty good for blue. Not sure leaving this loop was a good idea, especially not when closing the loop would also open up this option to harass the city again. So in that case, I'd rather place one of my meeples on the loop and keep it there until this situation is resolved. So twin caps went to yellow. Now there are still 2 extenders left. And then splitter and 2 Doritos to close the city. And it looks like that should be what the doctor orders for blue here. In the meantime, yellow managed to at least save the chance to close this monastery here. There's still 1 starting tile left. Blue with a juicy monastery, 7 points, plus adding another city to their field. Now there aren't great options to attack the field. There is one over here through the aforementioned starting tile. And considering this is on a field already and is the only shot, it could have been an idea for yellow to attack there, but when you are more or less tied on the virtual scoreboard, there's no need to risk stuff like that. Rather keeping the second meeple in hand to invest it, for example, in a monastery, is definitely the saner approach. Yeah, as expected, the first game on table 2 goes to Greece. Pretty convincing win by Empatis there. From the game flow, I'd say blue had trouble with meeple retrieval. Didn't improve their score in the mid-game. Over here, Yellow tried their best to thwart blue's city, but it's still alive, and with all these caps still in the deck, there is a pretty significant chance to close it. Now only 2 pieces left to do so. 1 gone in yellow's hands. Blue extends it, opens up it again, has 3 caps, so it would behoove yellow to clamp down and restrict this to a 50-50. The problem for yellow is they are only at +4 and blue has 2 meeples in hand. But still, when there are 7 tiles remaining and there are 3 city caps to put the game away for your opponent, I think restricting to a 50-50 is a must. Yellow just needs to hope to draw something to liberate one of these meeples, and that is rather easily done with either the crossroads or one of the remaining daggers. Yeah, but Arcetos has more than 7 minutes still on the clock, so takes the time to count all the caps just to figure out which restriction is more potent. And sure, we have the luxury, we know the tiles, so it's easy for us to decide, but when you have the time in a game and on this level, it should take a minute, 2 maybe, and then he'll definitely, at least I guess so, I hope so, for his sake, will decide to restrict the city. Everything else would be definitely playing with a fire. Again, 3 out of 7 pieces would immediately close the city and sway the game in blue's favor for good. Wow, Stefanakis trounced Kishduska on table 1. 126.59. That's rough. And an upset, at least in my book, on table 4. Mil 14 won their first game against Mozopal, and it was a pretty close affair at that. So finally, the expected move by yellow here. Blue gets crossroads, could take 3 quick points. They still have 2 moves left, so I don't see a reason not to go for them, especially when this would also set up another 4-point road, which they quite likely would profit from, as yellow would rather has to liberate one of their meeples. They don't have one in hand, so they couldn't cash in the 4-pointer here. And then it's the question, how should you rotate it? And in this case, when there are still straights that could kill yellow city, I think this way should be it. There's one annoying tile to deal for blue, and that would be the quad city, which as of now only fits into yellow's city, rather ruin here. The one issue with this option, though, is that yellow still has 3 moves left, so they could get a meeple back and successfully attack the city. But in that case, blue would get the vanilla to close their city. So even the successful field attack by yellow wouldn't really matter. Sure, they net these 12 points here, but in comparison to the, 20 points from the city, that doesn't matter at all. Again, easier said for me with the perfect knowledge of these tiles. Trickier to figure out in a game. But after taking the time, Robil finds the move. So the vanilla goes to Acetos. Blue city is dead. Problem for yellow, though, is they can't get one of their meeples back. And, well, they could try to protect their city, but I think that's rather ill-advised, because closing this city only scores 1 point for them, so 4 for them, 3 for blue's field. And adding this cap to blue's field definitely isn't the way to go. I think just leaving this as is, when you also have another option to score 1 point and get a meeple back, might have been better. Yeah, tough luck for blue. The quad city falls into their hands, and it will go to yellow, giving yellow 2 points, but with the tiny but decisive lead on the virtual scoreboard, that does not matter. Acetos adds 1 point, but in the end it will be the Hungarian winning this one, taking 3 points somewhere. There are multiple options. Tiny fields, a road. They'll pick something. At least I don't see anything better than 3. No, there's another option here. Oh, 4 points over here. Well, doesn't matter. So the first one goes to Robil, which bodes well for Hungary if it weren't for Mosopal losing on table 4. And it looks like Siegfried has some problems with BS12, so let's check this match out a bit. Yeah, although there aren't a lot of city caps out there to improve yellow's field here. So their growth potential is limited. Yellow quite likely will successfully attack blue's field there and gain 6 points, albeit at the cost of a completed blue road. The question is it even worth connecting here or there when you have to give a meeple back to blue? And with this 5-point ruin here, which with 2 meeples in hand, blue happily would snatch, I might be inclined to just not connect yet, but wait. Yeah, and this seems to be a very decent move, taking away the option to snatch in this city with one with the horse. No, actually, it doesn't take away the option. The horse still fits on the left side and the cow fits over here. So what does this accomplish then? Well, it takes away the twin caps, which blue would rather use over here, where the cap is securely placed, than over there, where the cap would be on yellow's field. Four points for blue and a meeple back, 6 points to yellow. But the meeple definitely will outscore these 2 lost points. Second game goes to Empatis as well, so it's 1-0 Greece. And I'll stick with this one here because it's just too interesting for now. Quick point tile for Siegfried, but no option to score quick points as the only open road end that could have been taken with the quad crossroads was just used by yellow. And the problem is that Siegfried can't really take this 5-point road. I think that is a tad too risky. And there's still this option here to add 3 points to yellow's field and the option to snatch this one or that. But yeah, okay, both are 7-point ruins. But Siegfried got saved by the deck, drew the one and only remaining curve to liberate the road meeple, and then got one of the city caps to score quick points, and will add another monastery, quite likely for another 6 points over here to eke out a win in this duel. Yeah, or 6 points here. Who cares? So then let's focus again on Assetos and Robil. Yeah, still a note about Siegfried versus BS12. 15 to 7 city caps. Pretty close for that one. But it's the imbalance one should strive for if your opponent gets a lot of caps, and that is going for the fields. And it almost worked for BS12. So let's make sense of this situation. Blue is under fire. And multiple bots, but they just managed to add a crucial tile to their city, more or less taking care of closing it later with still 4 tiles out there. Chances are pretty great that they'd at least get 1. Also killing this, preventing blue from tying this city part is crucial as well. And here we go. City closes. They even got the second shielded road Dorito as well. And blue tries to counter by closing a juicy city of their own. The question is, do you go for the jugular, hoping to draw one of the 3 tiles to go here? Twin caps or an extender are still out there, with the problem, of course, being a kill would be available. So they turn this to the bottom, opening up an option to attack, but yellow only gets crossroads. And takes this juicy 7-point road. Second game on table 1 goes to Stefanakis, so all as expected there as well. And now it's down to the 3 still playing Hungarians to win this match. And it looks okay. Mozopal was able to beat Mir and force the decider. Siegfried, of course, is still ahead. Quite likely will be the last one to finish the second game, as is usually the case. And this one here, of course, is still up for grabs, especially now that blue dodged a bullet here, prevented this connection, which would have taken 5 points away from them. Now they are down 13, but they have meeples in hand and more than yellow. So what do you do? Well, for one, you restrict either this or this here to a crossroads, which yellow already needs to liberate their monastery and score a 4-point road. If you will, a Sophie's choice. So this looks good for blue, but they need to take care and score some points here. Make up for these 14 points difference on the virtual scoreboard. So it wouldn't be the worst idea to add their own monastery next to yellow's just to participate a bit. Forcing yellow to supply these 2 tiles and focusing on adding 3 up top when there are still road pieces out there. And maybe even wouldn't be the worst idea to then add city pieces there to indirectly add cities to their field once the square gets filled, at least. Whereas in this position, you need to supply all 5 tiles yourself. Although they might not even get to that with only 9 moves left. So before blue could do something about this road connection, yellow drew a curve, and considering there were 5 curves out there, but only 2 straights, I think the starting tile from before would have been better placed up here, as this here could have been killed with Doritos, for example. Looks, at least to me, a bit imprecise. So yellow takes away the splitter from blue's arsenal, but there are still 2 Doritos and the horse here, so I'm not completely convinced this orientation is the better choice. Considering the downside of, well, either extending the city and still having at least some caps to close it, or maybe to build up a ruin while also scoring 3 road points. So the blue field gets padded with 2 more cities. Yellow also opens up an avenue to attack it on top of the one that is already present, which would be through the crossroads. And blue does not take this one away, but instead opens a loop but doesn't take it. I don't like this at all. Not when there are still loads of curves out there. Yeah, same for leaving this one open. When there's still crossroads and a horse left. And it all hurts quite a lot now. 8 quick points for yellow created by blue. And I don't think that this works. Not when you're down and need to score all you can get. Yes, sure, the risk of yellow attacking the field here was definitely a valid one, but scoring 4 instead of 3, which might even get taken away if yellow unites here or there. Plus, using this meeple somewhere else for more points might have been necessary. So it looks to me like Arcetos will force a decider. The city is still alive even. So punishes blue a tad more, forcing a 1-point move in the end. And then what will yellow do? Well, quite likely take away these 3 points for good measure. So this will need a decider, and therefore let's take a look at Mozopal. And these two are already playing the decisive game. And again, Mozopal needs to win this one to keep the Hungarian team's chances to win this match alive. If he loses, this would be the 3rd duel win for Greece. Perfect restriction up top, using the one piece that your opponent needs afterwards, and there is only one left. And of course, multiple tiles more to kill this city immediately. So an indirect save might have been in order, especially when this would also give blue the chance to kill yellow's city. But they don't go for it. Yeah, and now their city is dead. At least blue gets the remaining starting tile, which would have allowed yellow to take over this field here. With this city liberation, it looks like the fat lady starts singing here for Greece. Oh, well, there's a huge elephant in the room which I haven't addressed. There's still the Quad City out there, so blue would take over this one. Problem being, it is on a yellow and a shared field, but at least they'd take away these 4 points from yellow, would double them, plus the Quad City, so that would be 12 points, plus 5, minus 3, 14. Not enough. And now yellow even takes over this field. And sure, blue gets the city in the end, as the only tile remaining is the quad. But that does not help anymore. So that's the third duel in Greece's favor. Let's take a look at Siegfried and BS. This looks great for blue. They have the lead, and they have still a monastery left and multiple other pieces to connect this field. The problem is, though, that yellow just set up an option to at least restrict this connection here, and the options to close the road with one of the still 4 remaining crossroads. That could turn into a pretty severe problem for blue. And there is still 1 dagger left to connect here. And that is why blue kills this. Looks like this is a bug. So there's still a field attack happening up here and on the right side as well. And now that blue got the road closed and has a 3 meeples in hand, it looks like yellow will need to take over the field to stand any chance here and maybe even get the monastery as well. This square is dead, so there's no way for yellow to take over a loose field up top. They could just equalize it. Yeah, so let's check this field here. It's 18 points. Yeah, that's not enough for yellow. Even with 4 additional quick points, they need to find other options to score more. There are still 2 caps out there, or a 7-pointer over here, which isn't great, as well as that would open up an option to attack the field, although that is already present on the top right as well. So might not be a problem for yellow. Yeah, so, well, the only tile fitting here is the monastery. And it would be in yellow's interest to unite a blue's field with their tiny 0-point field and a currently tied main field, which they could take over. But even then, at minus 26, this won't work. It's just not enough. At least it won't work without blue's support. But Siegfried usually isn't one to blunder. So now he has a 6-point field, which he could just take, and I don't see why not. He could take this one, though. Might be maybe even the better option. Although, when you have the meeples in hand and yellow has only one, I'd rather take the one and only chance to snatch this inner 6-point field and take this one here later. Okay, he goes for this kill, addressing the hypothetical field unification. Only 3 moves left, so no need to take quick points. With still 1 crossroads out there and the monastery, I don't see the need to restrict either. Looks to me like taking 6-point field would be fine. Later, taking a ruin with one of the big city tiles if he happens to draw one. That should work just fine for him. Yeah, so I think this is done. So Siegfried secures a duel for Hungary. Let's check what Assetos and Robil are doing, and this looks like it will be another victory for Greece. It would be a pretty convincing 4-1 win with even quite okay tiebreakers, resulting in an 8-4 game score. Yeah, that's okay. And again, this without their best player even. And these teams even played in such quick fashion that we won't even miss a second of France Catalonia, which will start in roughly 7 minutes. Blue with a nice ninja attack. Well, sure, why not? The field is worth quite a lot, but still not enough. And the problem with this ninja attack is that blue does not have a meeple in hand to score quick points whenever they will get the dagger to close their city. And this dagger is a must, and it is a must right now if they want to have any chance of still winning this one. Sadly, yellow got the other dagger, which would have allowed blue to close the road on top left. So now blue needs either this dagger over here or the crossroads to get a meeple back. Everything else is dead, and there's the dagger. And now they are down 17. The field is worth 18. So in theory, they could still take over the lead. But of course, yellow has a meeple in hand. So just getting 2 points somewhere is enough for them. So blue could go for the field. Set up 50-50 here. Wouldn't win them the game, but just for kicks, why not? They'd also have the same chance over here. And maybe somewhere else. Doesn't look like it. At least Robil fills the minutes until the next match starts, so that's nice. Let's see if he goes for one of these field attacks. Could also just go on a 6-point field, but doesn't make a lot of sense, as yellow then would just take a 6-point field up top, and blue could either take a ruin or a road, depending on the tile they get. So if they want to keep the difference, or want to try to reduce the difference, attacking the field would be my preference, no matter whether here or there. I think this is totally irrelevant. Might just be my preference. Well, if he needs more time than I'd expected, let's take another look at Catalonia, France here again. To refresh, I would expect a French win on table 1 and a Catalonian win. Actually, let me use the correct colors. A Catalonian win on table 3. I'd slightly favor Blitz over Carquignoles and Dani on table 4 versus Jadjema. And I'd also favor Squalus over Sengla, only slightly though. So in the end, my expectation is that tables 2, 4, and 5 should be close affairs and should decide the outcome of this match. Overall, I'd favor France. Let's say they should be the 60% favorite. So, and if they have already started, I'll switch to them, because I don't see the need to wait for Robil to complete his move here. And he goes for the attack, and it's not successful. So in the end, as mentioned earlier, it's a 4-1 win for Greece with 8-4 games. Pretty huge city build-up. If it works, great for blue, but it's so open as of now. It might even be a good idea to close this at the bottom now to prevent yellow attacking there. And that is exactly what blue does. It's not easy to build this city up without giving yellow options to attack it. But we'll see about that. Could be even just as well for blue to go for a ruin or keep it as is and later pull the trigger on closing or going for the close or stuff like that, exposing this square, for example, to a block or attack. As long as they manage to connect and hold the majority in this city, it should be worth their while. On other fronts, yellow has this bit precariously placed monastery. Upside for them is that it's not easy for blue to attack this square, as that would also open up attacking or harassing avenues against the city. So it's rather likely that yellow will, at some point in the future, close this gap and might even do so with tempo while scoring a small city there. Blue quite likely will now restrict the monastery to the quad crossroads, even if that might create problems for their road in the future. But with the additional benefit of harassing Yellow City, it is at least worth contemplating. Although adding a second option to attack or harass the extender city changes the equation a bit. But given it is already in a kind of mini battle with Yellow's monastery, they opt to pull the trigger then. Curiously, though, they didn't go after the monastery, but just after the city, keeping their chances to close this 8-point loop road intact. If it works, great. If it doesn't, pretty annoying, but it works. Yeah, Zengla will liberate this city. Might even opt to drop a farmer. There's enough space up top to expand the field, and blue threatens to take it themselves. Instead, he goes for a quick loop, which in the vicinity of this monastery not have been my preference. Because in this case, blue might even go for stuff like that, forcing Yellow's road into this already existent mini battle. Also, about the rows here, Yellow could have also closed the road at the bottom and could have taken the city there to keep options to restrict Blue's extender city to the one and only remaining dagger alive. So it's not clear cut which of these two moves is or was the better one. I actually might have preferred the bottom one, but I would have also not taken the 2-point road here. So easy to say for me in this case. So here we go. Yellow liberates the monk, snatches 4 city points, has to leave an open cap. But do they? Why not take the cap, either close it or attack this city again instead of leaving it as is? And now it gets interesting here. Whoever connects first definitely has an advantage. The advantage in yellow's case might even be a bigger one because they then could go for the kill. The problem being there are still horses out there, and there are still, well, maybe this one not, but this one, options to then take this over again. And in this case, it would only need 2 caps and a horse close this one. So this will be interesting. For now, yellow tries to restrict blue's connection options. It immediately backfires as yellow gets one of the 2 remaining road burritos. And sure, yellow might want to at least keep this 50-50 alive. Maybe they should, because if they don't, then a lot of tiles would immediately kill this. They opt to not do anything about it because as is, they have 3 options. Go for it. And in this case, I'd seriously would have considered attacking. There are still caps, easy to close here, and then only a horse would have been necessary to likely win this game. So on table 4, Jadjema won the first against Dani. So definitely good news for France there. But yellow opted to take 1 meeple back while also giving them a clear option to kill blue city. On the other side of the scales, though, is this option for blue and the attack and the threat of still closing that city. Still 2 horses, still loads of caps to close the city. So yellow quite likely will refrain from killing blue city, and instead they'll score 4 points, opening this option to either attack or kill the city. And blue immediately gets the horse. But at least yellow restricts this to the 2 remaining daggers. Squalus, yeah, likely will take 5 quick points, saving the city to the 50-50, because there's only one starting tile remaining is not worth it, at least not in my book. And yellow quite likely will clamp down on the kill here. This way there aren't a lot of tiles. Wow. Yeah, loads of curves gone, so basically only 2 tiles to defend, and that is the same way with this option. The question though is, are there more tiles to kill now? And I don't think that's the case. So this orientation might be due to yellow still needing to score points here. But I would have liked this option, leaving this as is, not meepling, of course, and then just hoping to draw a cap and then take the city. Because now there are easy ways for blue to kill this, and there's only one cap to close it anyway. So does not look like the former world champion picked the better orientation in this case. In the meantime, Squalus saved the city. There's still a starting tile left. Blue is additionally +8 anyway, so does not necessarily need to draw the starting tile. This is debatable. I mean, there are still loads of vanillas out there, and yellow could very well attack this. The problem for yellow, though, is that it would be their last meeple, and it's not easy to get meeples back. This one is dead. There's still a horse to liberate the road meeple. There is the starting tile. So basically only 2 tiles to get a meeple back, and then investing the last one in an attack that could be countered anyway. And even if not, with the lead of 12 points, blue should be able to survive yellow tying this ruin. It's worth 14, 20 points. So yeah, that should be possible. So blue does not immediately re-attack, because they might very well just lose out on all the connecting pieces. So there are still 3 left, and if yellow gets them all, lose 2 points won't win them the game, but the quick points they could still score should allow them to take this one home. Zengler figuring out how to connect, and might be this one, and that only be a starting tile to connect here, which blue quite likely would use there to get the meeple back, score 5 points for the city and 3 for the field. Whereas in this case, there'd be the daggers to attack, but of course it was the last road end, and I mentioned this earlier. So taking the meeple back takes priority here, of course. He needs it if he wants to have a chance here, because just tying the ruin quite likely won't cut it. Wow. Would you take a look at that? I hope Otto covered this match. So we've lost the first one, and decisively at that. So that is definitely a huge upset. Not that the Frenchman is unbeatable. I mean, just take a look back at the CCL results from this year. But it's a surprise, at least to me. So in the end, Squadus opted to re-attack. I think this is not the way to go. Not when you still have options to score 7 pointers for your field, and when there are other quick point scoring options available, and there are only 2 tiles to connect. So there was a 25% chance for yellow to draw both pieces to connect here. And even if, like in this case, blue gets one of them, yellow might have other options to make up for the difference on the scoreboard, which is only 8 points now. And the question yellow poses up top here is to blue: do you kill this, or do you connect here to take these 4 points? And that's a tricky one, with these 2 daggers remaining to close it. Starting tile could be used here anyway. Might not, but we'll see. And blue chose to kill this city up top just in time before yellow could snatch the 8 points. So at least this one forced blue to give up these 4 at the bottom. On table 2, Blitz ousted Carcagnolis by 1 point only. And what should Zengler do? Well, -8, 3 moves left. There's always scoring a point here. There is a 6-point field to be taken later. There's still the starting tile. Could also save the city to the 50-50, and that might actually be a better investment than scoring 1 point. There is also this idea, which I really like, that is setting up this evil hamster. So he has 2 huge impact tiles the starting one, and the monastery over here could now protect the city for good, because the only tile to then kill it would be the starting tile. And again, that would be used by blue over here anyway. And if blue gets it, well, there's no second one left. Blue quite likely will add 3 points to their field. And then they'd be at 13 points. And yellow just gets the one and only tile that seals their fate. And that is the curve, which does not allow them to score the sufficient points here, which is actually a shame. So 8 points here or 9 points over here would have still set up a 50-50 for their last tile, but the curve doesn't help them. No, actually, they were at minus 13, so 8 points here or 9 points here would have won them the game. Could have won them the game. So they needed the starting tile anyway. And then the curve, take this field for 8 plus 6, or the monastery, and then the starting tile, because if blue would have gotten the starting tile, they would have won anyway. Yeah, pretty close. And the same goes for Jadiema's second game versus Dani, which goes to France as well. So except for their top player, which is definitely Viv, it looks pretty great for the French team. Even Boulogne was able to beat Deftine. So an uphill battle for Catalonia from now on. Zengler prioritizes nipping this budding blue field and blue's city in the bud, uses the rows here just to restrict both. One horse is already gone. Downside, of course, is if a horse happens to be drawn by a blue, it would also allow them to snatch a juicy road. But quite likely, yellow will follow this up with more tiles to kill this completely. Yeah. Shiny gift by yellow. Pretty annoying for blue. Yellow's only problem is the score, because as of now they haven't scored a lot, just 4-point city to start the game and his loop road. But with this restriction here and rendering blue city here rather complicated affair to close, I think it still looks good for yellow. They just need to take care of this city and attack it. They definitely can't afford blue closing it. And of course, they need to close their extender city as well. Interesting choice by blue. Taking away one option to attack it, but increasing the likelihood of blocks incoming. Well, that's a double-edged sword. Of course, you prevent another restriction, and quite likely the death blow to this city, a restriction to the horse. But on the other hand, it allows exactly this one here, and when 2 roses are already gone, that's not great. There's only one left, and in addition, there was this option to basically tie this one. So well, with the threat of the restriction to the horse, I think it's still correct to protect, though. So yellow tried to go for the kill up top. It did not work. Blue immediately was able to defend. Yellow starts a new city, threatens to restrict a city and a road in the same square. And I don't think Scorlus should do anything about it. There are still loads of tiles to go there, both with and without field. So trying to score points is okay, although closing a loop road for 4 and adding 2 pieces to your opponent's monastery just to prevent them from scoring this loop, I'm not so sure. Yeah, and I totally missed that they attacked Yellow City, so it's totally fine. And of course, if you play there to attack, then you have to take the road. On table 1, we've exacted at least some form of revenge, forcing a decider. And over here, yellow was able to thwart blue's attack and closed the city on the right side. Now it's down to waiting for one of the two remaining left-handed daggers to fall into their hands. Yeah, with more meeples, this seems to be fine, but with just two in hand, don't think taking this insurance 5-point road is the way to go. Not when you could just score 2 points, and there aren't that many road ends left anyway. So if yellow would take this 4-point road, the meeple might die on that road. So don't think this was necessary. Yellow with a second monastery up top, also creating an option to kill blue city if the need for this would arise. Although it's rather likely that blue would protect with a lot of the remaining road pieces. Yeah. One of those situations where you don't really like to get the quad city when you have open cities here, but luckily enough for yellow, blue got a splitter just 2 moves before, so there was another cap to dump the quad. Horse for blue, snatching the road, immediately gets restricted. Now there is only one tile left close the road. But well, if you get this one here, that's totally fine. And yellow actually missed a chance earlier, maybe, to snatch this 6-point field, which would unite with blue's field. Now they need to attack this one. And it doesn't look exactly great at minus a 31. Dodging the rows seems to be necessary. Getting a dagger is as well. And the same, of course, goes for a successful field attack. Field, though, is actually good news. It's, as of now, stands at 12 points. And with yellow city here, it would be 15. Yellow could even opt to later on attack here and hope to connect through the dagger, which they need anyway. So that actually might work yellow's favor here. Another monastery on their cluster. And so the chances here are definitely still alive. There's the dagger, reducing the virtual scoreboard deficit at least by a bit. Now down to minus 21. Field being at 15. So actually a successful attack would net yellow 12 points, and taking over the field would be an additional 15 points, but that point might just be moot due to blue drawing The rows closing their city and quite likely putting this game out of yellow's reach. The one thing they should do is exactly what they did. Take this 6-point field, which also sets up a nice monastery square, which would then unite into the main field and would allow them to, combination with their top farmer, take away blue's field. But at -29, even that might not be enough. On table 2, Carcassonne just forced a decider as well. So Zengler did not wait for a monastery, just connected, with the downside being that this allowed blue to immediately re-attack. And now he could connect, but this is one of the last tiles close to extend their city on the left side. There's no cap left to close it, so opts to go for this one. Blue scores 5 points, still has loads of options to connect to the field later, so no need to threat. Just being patient is, in this case, the way to go. And actually, even this city is still alive. Wow, check this out. And that could be an option for yellow. In some cases, it would work. In most cases, though, blue would get something to kill a square. Yeah, looks like Zengler's checking whether he needs to take the road or not. There's only one road and left. That is the road monastery. Okay, he opts to take a meeple back. That is definitely an interesting choice. But there are still actually 5 tiles to connect to the field later. One was just drawn by blue, and that is very bad news for yellow. Can't dodge all bullets here, and especially they don't get their crack at this city, because now there's only one cap left. But they, of course, would still take this for the points if they don't find anything better. Why? I don't think this works. Giving blue 2 extra points and a meeple back to attack the field. even if you successfully manage to take it over. I don't think it's enough. Yeah. Blue could just kill this now. Instead, they connect. I don't think that's necessary. So the field is at 21 points. The difference is 26. And of course, if yellow manages to connect here, they give 2 points and a meeple to blue. So it looks like Squalus will win the second duel for France. Not sure why he goes for this one. Yes, I know, because he'd like to score the 6 points afterwards. In case yellow connects to the field, that is, else blue would not have had a meeple in hand. So this will then be the second duel in France's favor. And from now on, all Catalonians need to win all their games, starting with Boulogne and Steam. Let's take a quick look. Not Boulogne, Devdin, sorry. And it looks like Devdin is behind by quite a lot. Let's see if that is still salvageable. That doesn't look great at all. One good news, at least, the city is dead. Another one is that Alicia is still alive. So scoring 9 points with a dagger would at least help. This monastery is also dead. There's no huge field available. And at minus 28, doesn't look great. Yeah, this actually is even better, because then use the dagger here while adding 4 points, 4 additional points to your city, and claiming the field then for looks like 6. But if your opponent gets these daggers, of course it won't work. And minus 22, well, we'll see. We'll see. So the first 13 points of these 22 are accounted for. Blue with 4 quick ones, and yeah, looks like yellow has to bite the bullet and take these 6 minus 1 points. The problem is giving Boulogne a second meeple though, and with still 3 moves left, might be able to invest this in a manner that scores at least these 5 points, although there's only 1 quick point tile out there, so it might still be okay choice. The problem is there's a 6-point field on the right side, so that would sway me into the direction of not closing this road. The problem, though, is what else do you do? Well, there are 2 6-point fields out there. None will grow. There's still the rotary toe to score some points, 3 in this case, and yep, plus the road for blue. So doesn't look like yellow will have a chance here. Not even by taking a field and this, but actually that could work. Monastery, liberating it for 10 points. 1, 2, this one here. 13. And the difference is only 10. So, yep, it works. And with 2 road tiles left in the deck, that could help complete the monastery. It's actually not the worst idea and might be yellow's best chance, actually. So nice find by Defdin. The other option, of course, would have been to just take 3 points here. But this here, if it works, is definitely more efficient. And my one problem now is that with Steam seems to be pretty close as well, and they have more or less the same number of tiles remaining. So not more or less, exactly now. I'd like to switch. Because for Defdin, it'll be quite likely one of these 2 tiles now or bust. So let's quickly check how the situation is over at Beep versus Steam. Does not look great for the Frenchman. Team could close this city for 5 minus 1, that's 4, or close this one for 3. So the middle one it is. This has no meeple in hand and will lose this one. Color me surprised. So the one French player I definitely had expected to pull their full weight did actually not do so, but his teammates pick up where they needed to. So yeah, Defdin didn't get what he needed to. And will lose this game. Actually, it looks like he even needed to get this one as well. So a pretty specific permutation, either monastery, then crossroads, or crossroads and then monastery, and afterwards the road Dorito. Else it was a lost one. At least that would be my quick take. So the match is won by France. The question, though, still remains, will it be a 4-1 match win? Or will it only be 3-2? And that could have serious implications later in the tournament due to the tiebreakers, of course. So even though the main field is tied, Blitz is up by 21 points. And the field is currently worth 18 points. But this city is still alive, and there is still one curve left to close Yellow City and increase the value of the field by another city. And it would also allow Yellow to attack through this curve. And that looks like the vector they are going for. And it looks like it was necessary indeed. There are 3 quick points which could be taken by blue. I think they should not play for the field. Again, it's not enough for Yellow to win the field. Win this game, they need to score more points. So likely it'll come down to drawing the curve ASAP and then getting the quick point times, or the other way around. Sure. Yeah, sure. Scoring 4 points while killing the monastery, and there are still loads of tiles out there to score the road, but not scoring the city could hurt in the end. It might be a case where they had to risk it. So scoring these 4 points just to increase the value of the field, and then hoping to get the next road end as well. In this permutation, it would not have worked because I'm pretty convinced blue would have used this horse over here to score 6 points, 5 for the road, 1 for the monastery. Sure, not getting the second meeple, but points-wise, it might be more efficient. So 22 points. Yeah, the field is not enough. And blue has a second meeple to play with. So what will they do? Well, for one, there is just killing this one to prevent the quick 4 points for yellow. They could ninja attack the field, but in this case there'd be multiple blocking tiles available, so I don't like this a lot. So they opt to just kill this one. It is fine. Yellow tries to close their city up top. Yeah, that is a way to score the necessary points in addition to this field connection, of course. Does not work because the rose is the last city cap out there. Blue has 2 meeples in hand and they only get 1 additional move, so their move I think is a mistake. They should have gone for this, hoping to get the road Dorito to extend the city and snatch the road here, because now they'll have a meeple surplus in the end. Won't hurt them if they just take one of these city parts here. And even if not at +4, I don't see a way for yellow to score more than 5 points, which is this road or this ruin either way, because the road Dorito is without a shield. Both shielded ones are over here. So it will be a 4-1 in France's favor. And with these sweeps here on tables 3 to 5, a good tiebreaker, even though we've lost, and not really a great outcome for Catalonia. I think they would have hoped for more, at least a closer score, maybe even a win. Yeah, Blitz might still lose though. Goes for 4 points, works the same. Of course, this allows yellow to take the 5, but it does not matter. Should be a +3 for the French player in the end. Yeah, and this then goes back to this question here. 4 points for yellow. They could have scored these 4, but would have added 3 to the field as well. But again, not sure that this was a must for them to execute, but it might have improved their chances actually. And the game is on a razor's edge. These crucial decisions and having to go for risks like that, it's what it often comes down to. And at least it might have forced blue to not close the road up top, but use the road end here. So in the end, 5 points for yellow, 89 points total. And 92 for blitz. So 4-1 with an 9-3 game score tiebreaker for the French team. That is definitely a good start into this tournament. So let's take a quick look at the calendar and next games. Looks like there's nothing scheduled for tomorrow, and then there will be 3 games on Saturday. I might cover something, not sure yet. I'll decide on Friday, maybe even on Saturday, yes. And then Sunday we'll see. I have to play myself, and therefore I might not cover Latvia, Spain, and I'm unlikely to cover Italy, USA as well. For the rest, we'll see. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you around. Bye-bye.